what is that aspect of personality which appeals to the other person first, especially the person is stranger? Is it your smile? Is it your eye contact? Is it your cute face? What is it? Think about it for a few seconds. Good morning, this is Nitin Kagalkar, once again from the premises of this beautiful university, Kolhapur University, known as Shivaji University. Voice is the answer. Surprised? Yeah. The research says that it is the first 300 to 500 milliseconds which it takes to register the impact on the other person whom you are speaking to for the first time. Isn't that surprising? I was surprised because my answer would have been smile if I hadn't heard of this research. That's interesting because it brings to our attention a very important part of a personality. That's voice. It's an instrument to connect with people, isn't it? People who use it with success would probably vouch for its effectiveness. So now that begs a question. Supposing I have a particular voice and I think it is not good enough. So firstly, there's nothing like good or bad voice, and I'll tell you why. What is important is that you need to explore your natural voice. Well, another question, how many times have you heard your audio? How many times have you seen how you sound in a video? Because you sound much different on microphone than otherwise. Because there's a reason for it. Because when you speak, the voice that you're speaking right now gets here and gets transformed or processed here, and then it comes out. So there's a science behind it. So many times we sound much different on microphone than what we are in a natural environment. So that's one thing. Listen to your voice and see what you can do. Because see, you can subject your voice to an adjustment. Say it's much like, if you recall, the audio instrument that we had in the past. They had graphic equalizer which should go up and down. It could be slidden to make adjustment to the sound that we wanted to hear. Much like that, pretty much like that, your voice can be, adjusted. If you have a low voice, you can make it a little louder. If you have a high pitch, you can reduce it a bit with practice, of course. But beyond a point, you cannot do anything about your voice. You cannot expect to have the baritone of Amitabh Bachchan. That's what he is blessed with. It's a blessing, frankly. Everybody is blessed with. But each voice has a strength. Only thing it needs to be explored, as I said. So, it is not whether you have good voice or bad voice. What makes it good or bad is the tonal adjustment that you bring to the tone of your voice while you're speaking. Say, for example, if you take your voice high, higher, low, lower, or even whisper, speak softly. These are the adjustment one makes depending on the context and the words that you use. This is what makes your voice good or bad. You cannot change the texture of voice. No, you can't. So even good voice, if you hear over a period of time or consistently, it will have a jarring effect on your ears. You will not like it. Even if you listen to Amitabh Bachchan for a long time, you would say, I'm getting bored now, enough of his baritone. That's what happens. So it's the variation that you bring to your voice, which is very important. So for example, if you take the example of Amitabh Bachchan, say in a movie Sholay, this is the climactic scene, when Jay and Viru are surrounded by Gabbar and his men, and then Amitabh gets up and holds his rifle in his hand and he says at the top of his voice, एक एक को भून के रख दूंगा, अपनी बंदूक नीचे रखो. Where's baritone there? None of it there. Then I think in the film Diwar, there's a very famous fight scene in the godown of Peter. If you have seen Diwar, I've seen it several times. So he sits in that chair with BD rolling in his mouth and his legs extended over each other, and he would say, Peter, तुम मेरा बाहर इंतज़ार कर रहे हो, मैं तुम्हारा यहाँ इंतज़ार कर रहा हूँ. That's his real baritone. But another scene in the same movie. See, when he goes to the temple to pray for the life of his mother, he says, खुश तो बहुत होंगे तुम, खुश तो बहुत होंगे जो आदमी आपके मंदिर, so he says, जो आदमी मंदिर की सीढ़ियाँ नहीं चढ़ा वो आज तुम्हारे सामने खड़ा है, खुश तो बहुत होंगे तुम. It's a whisper. So that's what makes his baritone with his voice interesting and worth listening to time and again. So, ladies and gentlemen, the point is that don't worry about the voice that you have. Just think about how you can explore it further. How can bring out the best of your voice. And I think best way to do it, the tip here, very hot tip, videotape your presentations or tape yourself while you're speaking and then listen to it. Another tip from my personal experience is try to feel the emotions in the word. So for example, if you're using the emotion like surprise, you should be surprised. You should sound surprised. It should be reflected in your tone of your voice. If you're angry, then you should look angry. You should sound angry. So it is. So if you're not having that kind of emotions of the word coming through your voice, you could practice it. And with practice, you can definitely achieve some success in this area. That's my advice to you, and it's based on my experience. So, but beyond a point, you can't do much about it. So don't feel bad about voice. Enjoy your voice. It's a blessing. It's what one is endowed with. So, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any suggestions, you are welcome. My mantra: we share because we dare to care. Dare it. Thank you. Have a nice Sunday.